Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It is Wednesday, August 13th, 2025, and on Wednesdays we talk about emotional well-being and relationships. And the theme for this week's Dr. J Vlog series is positivity, but I'm going to kind of start today by flipping the script. So, do you have any bad habits? I've consumed too much Coke over the years. Coca-Cola, not cocaine, which I've never tried. What about a bad habit in the context of one of your relationships, like with a partner or a parent or a child or even a good friend? Do you have any bad relationship habits? Things that you do, if you're being honest, that are unhealthy or that undermine your relationships? Well, most of us do. Maybe you have a tendency to make cutting remarks or put the other person down, especially during a heated disagreement or if you're feeling a lot of stress or that sort of thing. Maybe you're a little bit thoughtless from time to time. Maybe you don't see or notice that the other person's upset. Do you brush off their concerns? Avoid talking to them when there's a problem? Maybe you shut down almost involuntarily, emotionally, when you find yourself in conflict with another person. Maybe you tend to be short-tempered or lose your cool or blow things out of proportion or overreact and thereby create a sense of stress or fear or dread, and then turn people away, right? Push people away in your relationships. Maybe you have a substance abuse problem, right? This can be quite serious for so many people. And you're constantly struggling then on a personal level. And if that's the case, of course, it becomes very difficult to establish healthy relationships with the most important people in our lives. Okay, so whatever your problems might be, and we all have some problems, let's set all of those aside for the moment, okay? And I want you to just do a thought experiment with me, all right? If you could construct a list, start from scratch, and you could construct a list of the habits, the core habits that you'd like to inform your being, your whole way of life, what would be on that list? What would your ideal list of habits be? Would you not almost certainly construct a series of healthy, positive habits rather than negative or bad habits? Of course. So if you're able to take a good hard look at yourself and you're able to be honest, why not spend more time and energy thinking about and then trying to develop positive habits? So what I'm going to talk about then the rest of the vlog is here are some ideas, some positive habits that you can strive to achieve, that you can actually start working on today. And in most cases, you can actually start building those habits right away. And they will in turn enhance your emotional well-being and the health of your relationships. And so I'm going to start with something very simple, so basic that we often overlook it entirely. I want to suggest the first thing you can do is start thinking of something positive, something healthy that you'd like to do today, the first thing in the morning. And make that a daily habit. What I'm saying is that you know that your head is going to start filling up with all sorts of thoughts once you're awake. And as I talked about, I think on Monday's vlog, what kinds of thoughts will start entering into your head? In most cases, the majority of cases, they're negative thoughts. In fact, on average, research suggests that we tend to think about twice as many negative thoughts as we do positive thoughts each day. And sometimes the ratio is even higher than that. Okay, so let's change that. The good news is we can actually self-consciously start to practice thinking in a more positive way. Now, again, I'm not saying I'm going to just immediately convert you into becoming some kind of an eternal optimist. No, but you can practice waking up and thinking about something positive in your life as a habit. And I'd take it a bit further. Think about something positive you'd also like to do that day. So there's plenty to worry and stress about if you allow those thoughts to dominate. But then if you do, you're going to crowd out the space available for positive thinking. All right. So that's the first thing each of us can do each day. Start the day with a positive thought or two. Or again, going back to one of my earlier vlogs, you can talk about thinking or write down 3 things that you're grateful for each day. Practice gratitude. Same kind of benefits. Most important, set an alarm or leave a token, something by your bedside that reminds you to think about something positive first thing each morning. Start your day that way and then go from there. And before you know it, you form this incredibly healthy, positive habit that gets you started at least on the right foot on a daily basis. Another thing, something you were told by your mom or dad perhaps, sit up straight, walk straight. Something I slouch once in a while myself, but walk with your head up. Upright posture has a positive effect on our mental and emotional well-being. It's incredible. It also makes us more attractive to other people. And it even reduces fatigue. That's what the research shows. So it's really a win-win-win habit. Okay? And again, it's not something that we necessarily notice, and maybe you already do this, so it's not a problem for you. But it's relatively easy if you at least give it a little bit of thought. It's relatively easy to work on that. We can redirect our conscious energies to make ourselves firm up a little bit, sit up a little bit more. Start doing that on a regular basis. And then walk with our shoulders back. Walk in an upright way. Not because we're cocky and so proud that we're better. No, just to redirect your energy to looking outward into the world. And if you will, embracing the world, being prepared for whatever comes your way. All right? So that's, again, something, by the way, just working on posture and sitting, all of that stuff that can benefit you and health-wise into your old age. It can benefit you your entire life. So it's an obvious thing you should be working on, or you can. And then if you want to be more positive in life, get more sleep. Regular reviewers will know this is one of my problems, probably the last of the big problems I had to solve in my life. My lack of proper sleep has been a bad habit that I've been battling for decades, and I'm still battling. A couple of weeks ago, I had a night where I slept for 6 hours straight. First time in months. Man, what a feeling. Remember Flashdance? What a feeling. It was great. I was so energized. So yeah, get your 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 hours, whatever works best for you, if you can. And as you well know, sleep is, of course, vital for our health and our well-being, for helping to repair and renew ourselves at the cellular level, but also in terms of refreshing our brains, enhancing our mental clarity, sharpening almost every facet of our lives. Power naps are good and helpful at times, and there's something I've had to rely on myself, but they are absolutely no substitute for high-quality, uninterrupted sleep. That is ideally several hours of uninterrupted sleep each night. Okay. Also, catch the exercise bug. Again, this is obvious, but I'm saying this in a different way, perhaps. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be into sports, but you have to be active somehow to remain reasonably fit physically, mentally, and emotionally. The key, in my view, is to find activities that you love to do and then carve out time to do them. In my case, I'll go to the gym, long runs. I used to play basketball Monday nights with my buddies at Toronto. My wife, in contrast, hates the gym, but she loves to dance. And so what does she start doing? I don't know, a couple years ago, maybe longer. She found not one, but 2 different dance groups that she could attend each week. And she does, almost religiously, if you will. And then when we were at a concert last Sunday, she danced for almost the whole of the 3.5 hours that we were there. So, wow, talk about getting fit and getting in a heck of a workout. That's a great example. But guess what? I ended up doing a lot of dancing too, and I suck at dancing, all right? But the point is that when you're with somebody who's really good at it and really inspiring and they're having a great time, it inspires you to engage more yourself and to try. And I actually did try a bit more, and I was a little bit less self-conscious, and I just enjoyed what we were doing, right? It was a hell of a lot of fun. So when I say exercise, I'm saying it not as a drill sergeant, okay? Not as your personal trainer, making you shed weight or this or that. I'm saying it. Find something that you love to do. That's what I'm talking about. Get active doing the things that you love to do. Taking a walk in nature, or, climbing a tree if you want to pick some apples, or, join a dance group or a salsa group or whatever, right? Or help out at a local, or just go for a walk to the local store from time to time, right? And in fact, on that latter point, you can always combine exercise with getting something practical accomplished too, from washing the car if you have a car, to skipping, or don't take the bus, walk home from work once in a while if it's not too far, obviously. Or as I mentioned, you could walk to the store and pick up groceries. So it's great when you can combine both exercise and activity with also getting practical things accomplished. All right, and then one of the biggest things of all is I want you to go out there and develop your habit of socializing more, doing something, anything with other people, and not just online, right? And so, yeah, we increasingly live alone. We spend more and more of our lives online and in virtual space and looking at our phones. And we just don't get out with people in face to face context nearly as much as we used to on average. I get it. Some of you prefer to be alone. I do a lot of the time too, because of the nature of my work, my research, my writing, even the music that I like to create. But it's crucial to make a habit out of doing something, at least once a week, if not more, with other people in real time and in face to face settings. I committed to that actually quite some time ago, but even better, I've been pushed further in that direction because of my wife. Now, my wife's a genuine social butterfly and of the most beautiful variety, I might add. And I'd often say no to certain requests or invitations, resorting back to my own unhealthier loner habits. Okay, remember when I asked at the outset if you had bad habits that might undermine relationships? Well, that was one of my bad habits. I'd say no a lot. And, it'd be something, even if I did it politely, it might be something along the lines of, no, hun, you go, have fun. I'll be fine. Okay, but the truth is that that's the wrong response most of the time. It's much healthier not only to find things that you like to do with other people, but also to go along with them, go along with their requests. Be the follower, not the leader. Okay? And then, of course, you can also, get out there and try the things that you wouldn't normally do. And that's one of the great benefits. And by the way, you then have a trusted, enthusiastic, hopefully, guide to help you along, even if you're shy, even if it's not the kind of party or the kind of people you normally hang out with and so on. But then, again, you also get better at it as time goes on. And one more thing, you go along with someone else, and what else are you doing? You're reinforcing a positive bond of your relationship simultaneously. And that's almost always a good thing. You're showing the person you care. You're willing to trust them and their suggestions, their direction. You're willing to go with them to a place you wouldn't normally go to try something that's maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone and so on. And yes, you'll probably then be more inspired down the road to push them to come out and, go somewhere with you that they're not used to going and so on. So a great example of this, by the way, just happened recently with our oldest son. So I won't go into too much of the detail, but he belongs to a car club. He loves to go each week to socialize, but also to work on cars, etc. So he's learned a lot. One of his things he's into now is just learning basically everything about cars that he can, because he said, I always wanted to learn. I never knew a lot about cars, and now he knows a heck of a lot, but he committed to it, right? But anyway, the point of this story is that then last week, at some point, he persuaded his wife to go along with him. Now, she's not so much into the cars as far as I can tell. But, he showed her around the shop, I'm sure. I don't know the details of that. But what I do know is they posted some pictures online. And so this is why I'm telling the story, because while he then went about working on his car, she used some of that time to spend doing artwork and drawing. She's an incredibly talented artist. So guess what? He's working on his car, she's working on her artwork. And then they decided to pick up the camera and take a lot of photographs of kind of vintage stuff that's just lying around in this old shop. And they posted a bunch of really cool photos online. Right? So again, you see the point. The two have kind of very different interests, but they were able to get together and just make it a great day by combining their varied interest in one kind of a different or a novel setting, if you will. Okay. Oh, and one other quick anecdote I thought about about with my own wife. So again, I've learned to trust my wife when she suggests going to a concert or doing something, even spur of the moment. And if you know my wife, a lot of it is spur of the moment. So you got to be ready to just up and go. I mentioned seeing the Goo Goo Dolls last Sunday, and I mentioned in yesterday's vlog that it was one of the best concerts, most fun I'd ever had. And now I have to take credit. That was my suggestion. So I pulled her along to that. She loved it. But it's usually the other way around. And I'm going to go back now almost 15 years. This goes actually back to the spring of 2011. And my wife made one of these spontaneous requests She'd heard about this band from a friend. We should go see them. They're from the States. They were playing at a bar in downtown Toronto. It was quite late, though. The show wasn't going to start till midnight. And I thought, who am I? I'm going to go to see somebody I've never seen, I've never heard of, and I'm going to go out at midnight? Again, for me, I don't get a lot of sleep. If I can be in bed and start sleeping, that's where I'd rather be. So my wife was disappointed that I declined, and I saw this. And thankfully, in this case, I thought about it, and I asked if she really wanted to go. She said, yeah, I really want to go. All right. So I had to challenge myself. I had to imagine being young again and thinking about, yeah, we can handle. We go to a concert at midnight. We stay up late. We dance. We do this, that, and the other, whatever. Anyway, as it turns out, it was great fun. And we had a great time at a bar setting, small bar, about 100 people packed in. It did sell out for that bar. It had limited seating or whatever. And guess who the little band was? Again, I didn't know who they were. It was a duo, actually, out of Los Angeles, and they called themselves Capital Cities. Okay? Now, you may not know them, but some of you may. You may recognize the name. But just a few months later, after we saw them at this bar in Toronto, they released their, I think, only top 10 smash, Safe and Sound. So again, I didn't know it would be a hit, but what was really cool is I got to stand there a few months earlier with my wife, and we got to watch, 5 feet away and watch them and listen to them play, and we were dancing, etc. And we watched them do this whole show, okay? And it was all because I changed from a no to a yes. And I've been saying yes probably 9 times out of 10 ever since then. And every time I say yes, almost without exception, I'm later glad that I did say yes. Okay? And so that's my final piece of advice. Develop the habit of saying yes in life. Yes, I'll go. Yes, you're right. Yes, we can build this extension. Yes, I can learn that instrument I'd always wanted to learn, even in my 50s or 60s. Yes, I can go back to school if I want, or if I want to get that degree or study something online, or I can learn that language. Yes, I can change my world. Yes, I can change the world. And so on. And I'll start right now. Okay? And so I think that should be our core mantra, right? Always the 3 simple words. Yes, I can. And that's where it all really starts. And then it grows into a whole series of nice 3-word phrases, right? Yes, I can. Yes, why not? Yes, I'll try. Yes, that's cool. Yes, we can. And so on. And then, yes, for most of you who are watching, probably from Canada, so I like to say we live in Canada, not Canada. Old joke, but it's the right sentiment too, right? So in short, I've been a lot happier in almost every situation when someone has convinced me to go along and to say yes rather than no. Now, obviously, sometimes it's good to say no, right? No, I don't think I'll try the cocaine, okay? And no, maybe I should turn down the Coca-Cola more often, right? I did switch to Coke Zero on a positive note many years ago, so that's a good thing. But can I stop drinking Coke altogether? Now, that's a tough one. Wait a minute. Let's think positive. Yes, I can. Oh. All right, let's go with that. maybe that'll be the next yes, I'll try. All right, as ever, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs in abundance. And remember, yes, you can. See you soon.